The city was loud with noise, filled with glowing signs and endless crowds. Yet in all that light and sound, one small figure tried to disappear. She was an alien girl, young, thin, and dressed in clothes too big for her body. Her skin had a faint glow like her kind, but it looked dull, faded, as if life itself was slipping away. She sat on the edge of the marketplace, watching people pass with baskets of fruit and steaming food. Her stomach twisted in pain, but she pressed her lips together and forced a smile. Her eyes shone as if she was fine, as if she was just another face in the crowd, but she was not fine. Her smile was only a mask hiding the truth. She had not eaten for days. Her hands trembled, her voice was gone, and every breath felt weaker. Still, she smiled, because weakness was dangerous here. Weakness meant the world would step on her even harder. The human noticed her. His name was Daniel. He was not from this planet. He worked here as a mechanic, fixing machines that even the aliens had trouble with. He was taller than most around him, with dark hair, strong shoulders, and eyes that missed very little. When he saw the girl, he did not see the smile first. He saw the way she held her arms tight against her belly, the way her hands shook when the smell of bread passed her. Most people ignored her. They saw her as nothing. But Daniel stopped. His feet froze in the busy crowd. Something inside him whispered that the girl was in pain. The girl turned her head quickly, still smiling. Her lips stretched wider as if to say she was fine. Her eyes flickered with surprise when she realized the human was looking at her. Most humans on this planet kept to themselves. They avoided trouble, but this one, this Daniel, was staring at her as if he could see straight through the smile. Hungry, he whispered to himself, the word almost lost in the sound of merchants shouting prices. The girl tilted her head, confused. Her smile held steady, though her eyes betrayed fear. She did not want pity. Pity was dangerous. Pity meant someone might try to take advantage of her, or worse, report her to the guards who chased street orphans like her away. Daniel looked at the stalls. He saw roasted meat, glowing alien fruit, hot bread pulled fresh from ovens. He stepped closer, to the girl, but she flinched as if ready to run. Her smile wavered for only a second, then returned, weaker than before. "Easy," Daniel said softly, his voice calm. He crouched down so he would not tower over her. "I am not here to hurt you." Her eyes darted left and right, scanning the crowd. She shook her head. Her smile forced harder until it almost looked painful. She wanted to speak, but no words came. Her throat was dry. Daniel reached into his pocket, pulled out a few coins of alien currency, and walked to the nearest stall. The merchant gave him a strange look but accepted the coins. Daniel bought a loaf of warm bread and a small bowl of stew. When he returned, he placed the food in front of her without a word. The smell rose into the air, rich, warm, and full of life. The girl's smile broke for the first time. Her lips trembled, her eyes watered. She stared at the food as if it was something forbidden. She shook her head again, pushing the bowl away with weak fingers. The smile tried to return, but tears slipped down her cheeks. "Eat," Daniel said firmly, his voice kind but unshaken. "No one should hide hunger." The girl hesitated, her smile cracked. Then slowly, very slowly, she reached for the bread. Her hands shook so badly she almost dropped it. She pulled it close, her chest rising and falling with shaky breaths. Then she bit into it. The first bite was small, careful, but when the taste hit her tongue, the dam broke. She ate quickly, hungrily, tears falling freely now. Her forced smile was gone, replaced with something raw and real. Daniel sat beside her, silent, watching. He did not move, did not judge. He only stayed close so she would not feel alone. The people around glanced at them. Some whispered, others frowned, but Daniel ignored them. His eyes stayed on the girl. Minutes passed, and when the bowl was empty, the girl looked at him. Her lips parted as if she wanted to thank him, but no words came. Instead, she tried to smile again. Not the fake one this time, but a small, trembling, honest smile. Daniel nodded once as if to say that was enough, but in his heart, questions began to grow. Who was she? Why was she starving? And why did she fight so hard to hide her pain with that smile? And deep inside, Daniel knew this was not the last time he would see her. The alien girl sat frozen, her thin hands clutching the empty bowl as if it were a treasure. The warmth of the stew still lingered on her lips. Her smile this time was weak but true. It was not the mask she had worn before. It was the smile of someone who had tasted food after too long. Daniel watched her quietly. He did not ask questions. Not yet. He knew too much curiosity could break the fragile trust forming between them. The marketplace bustled around them. Merchants shouted, children ran past, guards marched in heavy armor. But for a moment the world seemed far away. The girl wiped her tears quickly, ashamed to show weakness, then forced her lips back into another smile. But Daniel noticed it was different, softer, not so sharp and broken. She opened her mouth as if to speak, but no words came. Her throat was too dry. Daniel stood and went back to the merchant. He bought a jug of water. The merchant raised a brow and whispered, "Why waste coin? On her. Human, she is nothing." But Daniel ignored him. He returned, handed the jug to the girl. She hesitated again, then lifted it with shaking hands. The water spilled down her chin as she drank too fast. Daniel almost reached to steady it, but he stopped, letting her fight through her weakness. She gasped for air, then smiled at him again. This time her voice finally came, broken but clear. "Why?" she whispered, her accent heavy, her eyes wide with confusion. "Why you do this?" Daniel shrugged. "Because you were hungry." She stared at him as if that answer made no sense. Her world had taught her that no one gave without reason. No one shared unless they wanted something back. Her smile faltered, suspicion flickered in her eyes. "You want something," she said softly, almost afraid. Daniel shook his head. "No, just food." The girl lowered her gaze. Her fingers traced the edge of the empty bowl, as if she was memorizing it. Her small shoulders shook, not with fear this time, but with something close to relief. The crowd kept moving, but Daniel noticed some merchants were watching, their frowns deep. In this city, street orphans were seen as pests. Feeding them was almost an insult to order. Daniel felt the weight of eyes on his back, but he ignored it. His focus stayed on her. "What is your name?" he asked gently. The girl froze. Her smile came back fast, forced again. "Name not matter," she whispered. "I am no one." Daniel leaned closer, his voice calm but steady. "Everyone is someone." For a moment she looked at him. Her eyes shimmered with something unspoken. Then she turned away, her lips pressing into a thin smile that failed to hide her shaking breath. He did not push. He knew forcing answers would drive her away. Instead he stood. "Come," he said, nodding toward the side street. "Not safe here." The girl flinched, clutching the empty bowl to her chest like a shield. She shook her head quickly, her smile rising again like armor. "No, I stay. I fine," she whispered. Daniel crouched again, lowering his voice. "If you stay, they will take the bowl. And maybe you too." He nodded toward the guards patrolling, their sharp eyes scanning for trouble. Her eyes followed. His gaze fear flickered across her face. The smile broke, her grip on the bowl tightened. For the first time she moved toward him, her steps small, weak, but willing. They walked together through the narrow streets, leaving the crowded market behind. The neon glow dimmed as they entered the older district. Broken walls, rusty pipes. The smell of smoke and metal filled the air. Daniel led her to a small workshop. His place, a corner where machines and tools filled the shelves. The girl stopped at the door, her eyes wide. She had never stepped into a human space before. "It's safe here," Daniel said, pulling a chair. "Sit." She obeyed slowly, her smile returning. Fragile and uncertain, she held the empty bowl still, as if afraid letting go would mean losing the memory of food. Daniel sat across from her, leaning on the table. "You don't have to smile all the time," he said quietly. The words struck her harder than he expected. Her lips trembled, the smile faded, her eyes watered again. "If I not smile," she whispered, her voice breaking, They see weakness. They push. They hurt. Daniel's chest tightened. He realized the smile she wore was not just a mask of pride. It was survival. She had learned that showing pain only brought more pain, so she hid behind a smile, even when her body screamed, "For help. You don't need that here," Daniel said. "Not with me." She lowered her head, her thin hands clutching the bowl. Then, for the first time, she let her face show what she truly felt. Not a smile, but exhaustion, fear, and a spark of hope. Daniel stood, placed more bread and fruit on the table. "Eat," he said. "There's more." Her eyes widened. She looked from the food to him, shaking her head. "Too much you keep." He pushed it closer. "I've had enough. It's yours." She reached out slowly, her hands trembling less this time. She took a bite, then another. Her breathing steadied. Warmth returned to her cheeks. For the first time, she ate without rushing, without hiding. Daniel leaned back, watching. Questions. Still in his mind, who was she? Why was she alone? Why did her smile feel like a shield forged from pain? But for now, he stayed silent. He knew the answers would come later. Tonight was about one thing, making sure she did not go hungry again. And as the girl ate under the dim workshop light, her smile faded, but her eyes softened, no longer hiding, no longer forced. For the first time, she looked like what she truly was, a child who wanted to live. The night was quiet. Only the faint hum of machines in Daniel's workshop filled the air. The alien girl sat curled up on the chair, her small hands gripping the edge of her bowl as if letting go might mean losing everything she had gained. Daniel worked at the bench, his hands busy with metal parts, but his eyes kept glancing toward her. She had eaten until her stomach could hold no more. Then she had sat silently, watching him, her lips pulling into that same fragile smile. "Do you have a name?" Daniel asked again, his voice calm, steady. He did not want to scare her. The girl lowered her gaze. The smile trembled. "Name no matter," she whispered, her accent thick. "I am no one." Daniel leaned back in his chair, wiping grease from his hands. "Everyone has a name," he said, "even if the world tries to take it away." She shook her head quickly, her smile returning, but her eyes shimmered with something unspoken, fear and shame mixed together. She wanted to keep her past hidden, but her body betrayed her. The way her shoulders shook, the way her hands pressed against her chest. Daniel sighed, stood, and placed another blanket over her thin shoulders. "You don't have to smile here," he said. "Not with me." The words struck her again, harder this time. The mask cracked. She closed her eyes, and when she opened them, her lips parted. Words came out broken, but they carried weight. "My family. Gone," she whispered. "Before, we had home, food, light. Now, nothing." Daniel froze, the tools in his hand forgotten. He stepped closer. "What happened?" The girl's smile slipped away completely. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dim light, alien tears shimmering like liquid glass. "Father was elder," she said, her voice trembling. "He speak against council. Say they corrupt, say they steal, council angry, they take everything, burn house, chase us, many die." Her small fingers reached beneath her tunic, pulling out a chain. From it hung a small necklace. Simple, but the stone at its center shimmered with faint blue light. She clutched it tightly, her hands shaking. "This all I keep," she whispered. "All that left." Daniel stared at the stone. Curiosity burned in his mind. It was no ordinary trinket. The glow was unnatural, soft but alive. "Why do you hide it?" he asked softly. She shook her head quickly, her smile snapping back as if trying to cover her mistake. "No reason, just memory," she said, her voice too fast, too sharp. Daniel knew she was lying, but he did not press. He saw the fear in her eyes, the way she curled around the necklace as if it was more precious than her life. "Where is your family now?" Daniel asked gently. Her lips trembled. The smile faded. "Mother. Gone," she whispered. "Father." Taken, brother. Lost. She hugged herself tighter. Only me now. Silence filled the workshop. Daniel's chest felt heavy. He had seen hardship before, humans and aliens alike struggling on distant colonies. But the way she told her story, broken words, forced smiles, it was not just survival. It was a wound carved deep into her soul. He crouched beside her, his voice steady. "You are not no one," he said. "You are still here. That matters." The girl blinked, tears spilling again. Her hands tightened around the necklace. "If council find me," she whispered. "They kill. They always watching." Daniel looked at the glowing stone again. Unease filled his mind. Why would the council destroy a whole family over this? What secret was hidden in that small piece of jewelry? The girl leaned back in the chair, her body trembling from both hunger and fear. Yet she forced the smile back again, broken but determined. "But I still live," she whispered. "And smile." Even when hurt, Daniel shook his head slowly. "You don't need to hide from me," he said. "If you keep smiling through pain, you'll break." For the first time, her lips curved into something new. Not a mask, not the false grin of survival, but a small, tired, honest smile. "You strange human," she whispered. "Others see me walk away. You see me. Stay." Daniel let out a quiet laugh. "Maybe humans are stubborn like that." The girl clutched the necklace once more, tucking it back under her clothes. But Daniel had already seen enough. The glow, the way she protected it, the way her family was destroyed because of it. There was more to her story than she dared to tell. He did not push further, not tonight. Instead, he pulled another chair, sat beside her and shared silence. Outside, the city lights flickered. Merchants packed up their stalls, guards patrolled with heavy boots, and shadows moved in the alleys. Far above, unseen by the girl, unseen by Daniel, eyes were already searching. Word had spread. Whispers of a girl with a glowing necklace. Whispers of the last survivor of a ruined family. But inside the small workshop, for the first time in many nights, she felt safe. And though her smile was faint, it was no longer hiding hunger. It was the smile of a girl who had been noticed, fed, and given a chance to speak her truth. And Daniel knew deep in his heart that her past was not just tragedy. It was the beginning of something larger, something dangerous, something that would soon reach both of them. The morning light crept through the broken shutters of Daniel's workshop. The alien girl stirred awake, her small body wrapped in the blanket he had given her. She sat up quickly, fear flashing in her eyes. But when she saw Daniel repairing a machine at his bench, her shoulders eased. She smiled at him, the same fragile smile she always wore. But Daniel had already learned what it meant. It was not joy, it was protection, a wall she built every time she feared being seen too deeply. "Sleep well?" Daniel asked, his voice low. The girl nodded. "Yes?" She whispered, though her voice cracked with exhaustion. He handed her a piece of bread and some fruit. She took it slowly, eating with smaller bites now, no longer rushing like last night. Daniel noticed her strength returning, though her eyes still carried shadows of hunger and grief. As she ate, Daniel's gaze fell to the faint shimmer beneath her collar, the necklace, the small blue stone that pulsed like a quiet heartbeat. He had not asked about it again, but the memory of her story, of her family's destruction, stayed heavy in his mind. The workshop door creaked as a neighbor passed by. The man stopped, his eyes narrowing when he saw the girl inside. "You keeping strays now, human," he muttered. "Be careful, guards don't like that." Daniel ignored him, but the girl's smile froze, her hand instinctively pressing against her chest where the necklace was hidden. Fear flickered in her eyes. When the neighbor left, Daniel crouched beside her. "That necklace," he said quietly. "It's important, isn't it?" Her eyes widened. She shook her head quickly, her smile rising fast. "No, just memory," she said again. Too quickly, too sharp. but Daniel saw the way her fingers curled around it, the way her shoulders tensed. He leaned closer, his voice gentle. If it was just memory, the council would not burn your home. Her breath caught. The smile faltered. She looked away, her lips trembling. If I tell, you leave, she whispered. Everyone leave. Daniel shook his head slowly. I'm still here, aren't I? The silence stretched, then at last she pulled the necklace free. The small stone glowed faintly, blue light flickering like fire trapped in crystal. My father say it key, she whispered. Key to vault old. Older than council, older than city, inside. Secrets, power. She held it tightly, her eyes filled with both awe and fear. Council want it, they kill for it. Daniel's heart pounded. He had heard whispers of ancient ruins on distant worlds, vaults left by civilizations long gone, treasures of knowledge and weapons. If the council feared this necklace, it meant the secret inside was dangerous. Before he could speak, a loud knock shook the workshop door. The girl jumped, hiding the necklace under her tunic again. Daniel opened the door slightly. 2 alien guards stood outside, tall, armored, their eyes sharp. We're searching for a thief, one said coldly. A girl with stolen property. Daniel kept his face calm. Haven't seen anyone like that, he replied, his voice steady. The guards glanced inside, their eyes scanned the workshop, but the girl had hidden behind the shelves, clutching the necklace tight, forcing a smile even as tears slid down her cheeks. After a long pause, the guards left, but not before warning. If you shelter her, human, you'll pay the price. Daniel closed the door, locking it tight. He turned to find the girl shaking, her forced smile stretched across her face, but her hands trembled. They know, she whispered. They always know. Daniel stepped closer, kneeling beside her. Then we'll keep them guessing, he said firmly. But you can't do this alone. Her smile cracked, her lips quivered. Why you help me? She asked again, her voice almost desperate. You human, not your fight. Daniel looked at her, his jaw tight. Because no one should carry this alone, and because sometimes humans don't walk away. She stared at him, the tears finally breaking free. Her smile fell completely, replaced with something raw and real. Trust, fragile and small, but real. Outside, the whispers had already begun. In the market, in the alleys. The story spread like smoke. People spoke of a girl with a glowing necklace, the last of a broken family, and the human who sheltered her. Every whisper carried danger. Every rumor drew the council's eyes closer. And as the girl clutched the necklace in the dim workshop, Daniel realized their lives had already changed. The secret she carried was no longer hidden. The world had begun to notice, and soon the hunters would come. The marketplace was alive again. Colors, voices, and smells filling the streets. Daniel walked with the alien girl beside him, trying to look ordinary, her head lowered, her fragile smile fixed in place like a mask. She held the blanket tighter around her thin shoulders, hiding the necklace beneath her tunic. Daniel had warned her not to touch it in public, but her hand kept drifting toward her chest, fear pulling her fingers back to the stone again and again. Stay close, Daniel murmured, his eyes scanning the crowd. She nodded quickly. I stay, she whispered, her smile trembling. At first, everything seemed normal. Merchants calling out, guards patrolling, children laughing as they darted between stalls. But Daniel felt something wrong. Too many eyes watching, too many heads turning toward them. He led her toward a bread stall, bought 2 loaves and handed one to her. She smiled in thanks, but before she could take a bite, a sharp voice cut through the air. There she is. Daniel's heart froze. He turned. 3 armored guards pushed through the crowd, their eyes locked on the girl, hands reaching for their weapons. The girl gasped, her smile shattering into raw fear. The bread fell from her hands. Run, Daniel said firmly, grabbing her arm. They sprinted through the narrow lanes, the crowd exploding, in shouts as the guards gave chase. Boots slammed against stone, weapons clattered. Merchants shouted in anger as stalls were knocked over. The girl struggled to keep up, her legs thin, weak from hunger and exhaustion. but Daniel pulled her forward, weaving through the chaos. He had grown up in tight human cities, learned to move fast, learned to use the crowd. They ducked into an alley, the smell of smoke and trash heavy in the air. The girl stumbled, her knees buckling. Daniel caught her, pulling her up. "Keep moving," he said, his voice firm but kind. Behind them, the guard shouted, "Don't let them escape." Daniel scanned the alley, spotted a hanging tarp over crates. He pulled the girl beneath it, covering them with shadows. The guards thundered past, their armor clanging. The girl pressed a hand over her mouth, her body shaking. Her smile forced itself back onto her face. Though her eyes were wide with terror, Daniel placed a finger over his lips, signaling her to stay silent. When the guard's footsteps faded, Daniel pulled her out, leading her deeper into the maze of streets, but as they turned a corner, another squad blocked the way. "There," one shouted, pointing at them. Daniel cursed under his breath. He grabbed a metal canister from a nearby stall, hurling it at the ground. It burst with steam, filling the alley. Using the cover, he pulled the girl through another path. Her breath came fast. Her hands clutched the necklace under her tunic. "They know," she whispered. "They always know." Daniel tightened his grip on her hand. "Then we'll stay ahead of them," he said. The chase spilled back into the marketplace. People, scattered as the human and the alien girl darted between stalls, guards closing in, merchants shouting in anger. A guard lunged, grabbing for the girl's arm, but Daniel swung a wooden pole from a stall, knocking the alien soldier back into a pile of crates. The crowd roared in shock. "Keep moving," Daniel shouted, pulling her toward the edge of the market. They ran until the noise of the crowd dimmed, slipping into another side street, both of them gasping for breath. The girl leaned against the wall, her forced smile twitching weakly on her lips. "I slow you," she whispered. "I weak." Daniel crouched in front of her, his eyes steady. "No, you're stronger than you think. You've survived this long, haven't you?" Her lips trembled, the smile fading. "Only with smile," she said softly. "Smile hide fear, hide hunger." Daniel shook his head. "Your smile kept you alive, but it won't keep you safe now. We need to be smarter." Before she could answer, a shadow fell across them. A cloaked merchant stepped out from the alley, his eyes gleaming. "Word spreads fast," he said, his voice oily. "The girl with the glowing necklace worth more than a fortune." The girl gasped, clutching her chest, her smile shattering completely. Daniel stepped in front of her, his fists clenched. "We're not interested," he said coldly. The merchant laughed softly, raising a hand. Behind him more men appeared, rough-looking, armed with blades and clubs. "Oh, but I am." The girl's body shook. She tried to smile again, but it collapsed into tears. "Daniel," she whispered, fear in her voice. He glanced back at her, his jaw set. "Stay behind me." The thugs closed in, but Daniel had grown up fighting in human streets. He knew how to use speed, how to use surprise. He grabbed a broken pipe from the ground, swinging it with force. The first thug fell with a cry. Chaos exploded again. The girl darted into the shadows, clutching her necklace. Daniel fought, blocking, striking, every move driven by the thought of keeping her safe. The marketplace whispers had become reality. Hunters were everywhere now. Not just the council guards, but thieves and merchants, all hungry for the prize she carried. By the time Daniel pulled her away from the fight, dragging her down another alley, both were bruised and breathless. The girl's tears streamed down her face, her smile gone completely. "They will never stop," she whispered, clutching the necklace tighter. "Never." Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder, his voice low but steady. "Then neither will I." The words gave her pause. Her wide eyes blinked up at him. For the first time, the faintest spark of hope replaced the forced smile, but the chase had only just begun. The night swallowed the city, shadows stretching long across the alleys. Daniel led the alien girl through, back streets, avoiding the guards who still searched the markets. Every corner echoed with footsteps. Every flicker of light carried danger. Finally, he pushed open the door to his workshop. The girl stumbled inside, her body weak, her hands clinging to the glowing necklace hidden under her tunic. Daniel bolted the door and pulled the shutters closed. Only the dim lamp lit the room. The girl collapsed onto the chair, her lips trembling into another fragile smile. But her face told the truth. She was exhausted, afraid, and close to breaking. Daniel crouched in front of her, his voice calm but firm. "They won't stop," he said. "If I'm going to protect you, I need to know everything. No more hiding." Her eyes widened. The smile froze on her lips. Her hands shook. "If I tell you leave," she whispered. "Everyone leave." Daniel shook his head slowly. "I'm still here, aren't I?" For a long moment she stared at him, her eyes shimmering with fear and doubt. Then finally, with trembling fingers, she pulled the necklace from beneath her tunic. The blue stone glowed brighter than before, casting ripples of light across the walls. "My father say this key," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Key to ancient place, deep under city, older than council, older than all, a vault." She clutched it tighter, her tears shimmering in the glow. Inside, knowledge, power, truth, something council fear. Daniel's breath caught, so it was true. The council destroyed her family not because of rebellion, but because they held the one thing that could threaten their control. "Why you?" Daniel asked softly. She lowered her head. "Father trust me last night before they come. He pressed necklace to my hand, say run, never stop, never show, never trust." Her voice cracked. "I run, I hide, I smile, so they not see fear." Her words sank into Daniel like stones, the weight of her past heavier than he imagined. She had been running since that night, starving, smiling through pain, carrying a secret that could topple empires. Daniel leaned closer. "Do you know what's inside the vault?" She shook her head. "No, only that it dangerous, Father say, and not weapon, but worse, truth, a truth that can break council apart." Her hands shook as she held the necklace. "I not strong, I not brave, I only smile, but they think I carry strength," she whispered. "I only want family back." Daniel's chest tightened. He had seen brave men fall to fear, yet here was a girl who thought herself weak, carrying the weight of something that could change galaxies. "You've survived alone this long," Daniel said, his voice steady. "That is strength. Don't ever think otherwise." She blinked at him, her fragile smile breaking into something softer, smaller, real. "You always see me," she whispered. "Others see nothing. You see me." Before Daniel could answer, a loud crash rattled the workshop wall. He jumped to his feet, peering through the shutters. Dark figures moved in the alley. Whispers carried through the night. "They found us," Daniel muttered, grabbing a wrench. From the table, the girl gasped, clutching the necklace tighter. "I bring danger to you," she cried softly. "If they take you, it's my fault." Daniel turned back to her, his jaw set. "If I wanted safety, I would have walked away in the market, but I didn't," he said. "You're not alone anymore, remember that." Her eyes filled with tears, the smile gone now, replaced by raw trust. Fragile but true. The door rattled again, fists pounding, voices shouting. "Open, human, hand her over." Daniel glanced at the girl. "There's another way out," she nodded, pointing to a small hatch near the floor. "Old drain tunnel leads under street." Daniel pulled it open, motioning for her to crawl through. She hesitated. "What about you?" she whispered. "I'll be right behind you," Daniel said firmly. "Go." She slipped into the tunnel, clutching the necklace. Daniel grabbed a few tools, then crawled in after her, sealing the hatch just as the workshop door broke open. The tunnel was dark and damp, the sound of rushing water echoing. The girl crawled ahead, her small hands trembling. Daniel followed close, keeping his eyes on the faint blue glow of the necklace lighting their path. "They will follow," she whispered, her voice shaking. "Then we'll keep moving," Daniel replied, his tone steady. At last, they emerged into another alley far from the workshop. The city stretched before them, lights flickering, shadows shifting. The girl clutched, the necklace close, her lips forming a weak smile. "Nowhere safe," she whispered. "They always find." Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder, his voice strong. "Then we don't hide forever. We find out what's inside that vault and we end this." Her eyes widened. Her fragile smile faded into something new, something stronger. "You mean, open it," Daniel nodded once. If the truth is what they fear, then maybe the truth is what we need. For the first time, her eyes shone not only with fear, but with hope. Faint, fragile, but real. The night was still dangerous. The city still hunted them, but now the path was clear. The secret she carried could no longer stay buried. The hidden truth was waiting, and together they would face it. The drain tunnel had carried them far from the marketplace, but danger followed close behind. The alien girl walked beside Daniel, her thin legs shaking, her fragile smile flickering, on and off like a dying flame. She clutched the glowing necklace under her tunic, afraid to let go, afraid that without it she would lose the last piece of her family. Daniel walked steady at her side, his hand near the wrench he carried like a weapon, his eyes scanning every shadow. At last the tunnel opened into a forgotten district, old ruins half buried under newer buildings. The air smelled of dust and rust. The girl stopped, her eyes wide. Here, she whispered. Vault is here. Daniel frowned. You're certain? She nodded quickly, tears glistening in her eyes. Father show map once. Say if I lost, follow lights, follow stone, it led me. She pulled the necklace out, its glow brightening, responding to the place. They approached a wall carved with ancient alien symbols, cracks running through it. The girl pressed the necklace against the stone. Light spread across the wall, forming patterns. Gears deep within the ruins groaned. Slowly the wall slid open, revealing a dark chamber beyond. The girl gasped, her smile fading into awe. Daniel stepped forward, his hand steady on her shoulder. Stay close. Inside, the vault was not filled with weapons or treasures, but with tablets, carvings, and crystal-like data stones, each one glowing faintly with stored knowledge. The girl's lips trembled. This is what Council fear, she whispered. Truth. Daniel picked up a tablet. Strange alien text covered it. But when the necklace's glow touched the surface, the symbol shifted, turning into words even he could read. The council rose from lies, the tablet read. They erased the true rulers, destroyed history, and chained the people with fear. Daniel's jaw tightened. So this is it, he muttered. Not a weapon, but the truth that could break their power. The girl's fragile smile flickered. But truth can kill too, she whispered. Council will destroy all to keep it hidden. Before Daniel could answer, voices echoed at the entrance. The wall was forced open. Guards stormed inside, weapons raised, their eyes blazing with rage. There, one shouted. Take the girl, kill the human. The girl gasped, clutching the necklace, her smile breaking into tears. Daniel, she cried, fear flooding her voice. Daniel stood tall, wrench in hand, his eyes burning with determination. Stay behind me, he said firmly. The guards advanced, but Daniel fought with every ounce of strength, swinging, dodging, striking. He was only one human against many, but he fought with fury born from something stronger than fear. He fought for her. The girl pressed the necklace to the central pillar of the vault. Light burst across the chamber, blinding the guards. Tablets and crystals lit up, filling the air with glowing symbols. The truth revealed itself, voices of the past echoing, history long buried pouring into the open. The guards screamed, covering their eyes, their minds overwhelmed by the storm of knowledge. Daniel pulled the girl close, shielding her as the vault filled with light. When it finally dimmed, the guards lay unconscious, their weapons scattered. The girl trembled in his arms, her tears falling freely. I did not want this, she whispered. I only wanted family back. Daniel knelt, looking into her eyes. You can't change what happened, he said softly. But you can decide what happens next. Her lips trembled, then slowly curved into a small, honest smile. Not forced, not fake, but real. Next, I'm not alone, she whispered. Daniel nodded firmly. Never again. Outside the vault, the city was already buzzing, rumors spreading faster than fire, whispers of the truth leaking into the streets, the council's lies cracking. The girl looked up at the sky, her necklace glowing faintly in her hands. I smile for real now, she whispered, because humans saw hunger and fed me when no one else did. Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder. Sometimes kindness is stronger than any weapon, he said, his voice steady. They walked away from the vault together, the danger not gone, the fight not over, but the bond between them unbreakable now, for the galaxy might tremble at the secrets of the vault. The council might rage, armies might march. But in the end, it all began with something simple, a smile that hid pain, and a human who refused to ignore it,